What's going on, Bulls fans? And we are here to review an exciting game with the Chicago Bulls against the Boston Celtics. This one came down like it. The Bulls looked like they were going to be out of that for a while, but they were able to battle back. We're going to be talking about all that happened in the game and more right after this. All right, so this was probably the most frustrated I have been at a Bulls game in probably all season. It was so bad at one point that I had to turn the game off. I was frustrated. I damn near threw my remote control. I know, anger management issues. I love this team way too much. One day I'll tell the story about how when I was a kid, every time Michael Jordan's Bulls lost, I would cry. We'll talk about that one day. But nonetheless, this was a game that the Bulls defense, as much as I had just recently talked about their defense, they for some reason just couldn't get a handle on Jaylen Brown, who was killing us at one point. At one point, Jaylen Brown was looking like the best player in the NBA out there. Everything he put up went down for a stretch, and it just looked really bad. We had I think an 11-point lead at some point in the second quarter, I believe, and then that got all the way erased, and I think we were down by 12 at one point before that lead increased even more. And it really looked like the Bulls were not going to have an answer. It seemed like every time we started coming back and battling back, Boston would get a stop, a steal. We would turn the ball over. They would get points off that, and then they would go on a stretch themselves. And so this is a game that it's important that I think it's good that the Bulls won, not only just to get the win, but they showed that resiliency. They're coming and they're building back. And I know that there's a lot, let me not say hate is too strong of a word. There's a lot of doubt about DeMar DeRozan and people saying, DeMar's taking too many shots, but this is why you need, and this is why the Bulls signed a player like DeMar DeRozan. Levine didn't have it for stretches of tonight. He didn't really have it at all overall when you really look at the box score. He was 9 for 20 from shooting, 1 for 8 from three-pointer. I think at one point, even in the third quarter, he had like 4 points and 6 points, and 4 of those came from free throws. This is one of those games where important to have DeMar DeRozan because his poise as a veteran, his ability to take over at one point, like DeMar DeRozan's, let's just look at his stat line: 37 points, 15 for 20 from the field, 3 for 4 from three-pointers, 4 for 5 from free throws. He also chipped in 7 rebounds, 2 assists, 1 steal, 1 block, and only 1 turn. Come on, this was a great game from DeMar DeRozan. And I know there's, like I said, there's some people who aren't appreciative of how many shots he takes, especially in the clutch. But DeMar DeRozan is showing why he's on this team. Fit be damned. DeMar DeRozan is on this team because he brings that veteran presence. He's been there before. He's been in tough games. Not to say that anyone else hasn't, but DeMar DeRozan is the one who has done it the longest, and he's played for the most. Like, we know out of Ball, Levine, Vucevic, like, they haven't gone on deep runs in the playoffs. And I know, people want to say that, because the Raptors finally won a championship after he left, but DeMar has been tested and he's been in these situations. And so when the Bulls are down, when they need a bucket, they go to DeMar DeRozan. And it's been proven to work at least the last few games, right? A great stat line from him. But let's talk about, and I put out a poll on which which bench player was gonna have the biggest game, and I did not put Ayo DeSumo on there just because his minutes have been so sporadic. I thought about it. I only put the 3 players on there that I did because I figured that they were gonna get the most minutes. But Ayo coming in this with 22 minutes, chipping in 14 points, 6 for 6 from field goal, 2 for 2 from three-pointer, 4 rebounds, 2 assists, only 2 turnovers. For a rookie to have put in a game like this is huge. It's phenomenal. And it's not something that happens very often. I've said it before. Ayo is earning his minutes on this team. He's earning a role on this team. And I know the ones who are Kobe White detractors are going to say, well, what does this mean for Kobe? Again, very different players. If anything, I keep saying it. Ayo is going to blossom into a player that is very much like an Alex Caruso. And I think that is what this team is going. That's what he's going to be, one of those players who, if he hits his potential, is going to have a very long career in this league because of what he's able to do on both sides of the ball. Maybe not ever be the starter. We don't know, but again, very consistent, very good player. Again, Derrick Jones Jr., Tony Bradley, their link showing 2 blocks each from them. The Bulls had 8 blocks, so again, half of our blocks came from just those 2 players. Also, Alex Caruso got a block. DeMar DeRozan got a block, and the Vooch did get 2 blocks as well. This was just one of those games that it was just it's good to see. It's good to get wins like this, right? You of course don't want to see your team go down. You don't want to get frustrated like me where you have to take a second out to stop watching the game just because of how mad it's getting you. But this is winning teams are going to go through games like this and they figure out a way to pull it out. And hats off to Billy Donovan for just being able to trust a rookie in a time like this that really helped get us back in this game in a big way. More bench scoring than I think this is probably our highest bench scoring game. We had 9 points from Derrick Jones Jr., 4 points from Tony Bradley, 9 points for Alex Caruso, and 14 points, as I already said, for Ayo DeSumo. And that's the only 4 players off the bench. Again, Billy Donovan keeping a very playoff-like rotation going on with having that shorter rotation of 9 players. You don't see him go 10, 11 deep very often. And, you didn't in this game. He rolled his bench. He rolled the players that he trusted, and they showed up in this one. Vooch also having it like this is again, and this is the theme that has been, at some point we have to just say that maybe that this is what the team's going to be. They may not be the offensive efficient team that we see. They may end up this Bulls team, which everybody doubted their defense, may end up being a drag it out defensive. And I know I'm saying that in the game where we scored 128 points, right? But it's just the identity of this team that's being built and that's being created here. It's different than what a lot of people thought that we would be building, and because of that, it's turning some heads, right? It's making you rethink what the ceiling of this team is, because like people, and it's funny because the people who pointed out, well, how far can you go without a defensive team when they thought the Bulls weren't going to be a good defensive team? I wonder how that stance and those opinions are going to change now that they are showing that they are and have that ability to be. They're already top 10 in the league in defense, so because of that, like. I wonder if that public opinion of the Chicago Bulls start changing. And even if it does, fuck it. I don't care. We're a Bulls fan. Like I said before, I like being the underdogs or doubted or slept on. But at this point, the Bulls are 6-1. The Bulls are 6-1. Just think about that coming into the season. And yes, we're heading into our most difficult stretch, right? Well, we're in it now. We're 3 games into that stretch. 2-1 so far in that stretch. Yeah, it's a good time to be a Bulls fan. The Bulls are really showing out, and they're showing their resiliency, showing what they can do. And this is all without having a super efficient offense. If that offense, like I said, at some point we have to just, if this is the story 25 games into the season, maybe we need to realize that the Bulls may not just be a super efficient offense in the way that we thought they were going to be heading into the season. But if they're able to get that and change that, we're absolutely one of the top 3, top 4 teams in the East. And that's being generous, right? Like, just look at how many teams that are in top 10 in defense and offense aren't considered one of the best teams in their conference. And, for anyone, if they're still using that rhetoric of the Bulls are going to be in playing team, it's time for everyone to take notice that the Chicago Bulls are here. No matter what changes, right, what difficult stretches we may go on, the Bulls are here. They are a team. They are a force to be reckoned with. And, yeah, we're going to have our frustrating games. We're going to have our games where Zach LaVine isn't Zach LaVine-esque, even if his scoring number ends up that way. But we now have a team around him, right? We have the players around him that we can still win games. And DeMar DeRozan, for DeMar DeRozan detractors and haters, at some point you just got to realize that this kid, no, not a kid, what? I'm so used to, like, I'm an old man, I guess, but that this guy can ball, that he can ball, and he's going to ball, and he's going to be dependent on, you don't want to live and die by DeMar DeRozan, especially in the playoffs. That's where we have the team around them that we do. But you do need to realize that DeMar DeRozan is going to be a big part of why we win, especially when we get into the playoffs and how far we can go and what we can achieve. Last 6 games for DeMar DeRozan, let's just read a stat line. 26 points, 4 assists, 6 rebounds, 21 points, 6 assists, 6 rebounds, 26 points, 6 assists, 5 rebounds, 20 points, 5 assists, and 3 rebounds in that game against New York. 32 points last game, and then in this game, 37 points with 7 rebounds. DeMar DeRozan is filling up the stat sheet. And, for someone who, some people try to use that, like I said, that rhetoric that nobody really wanted DeMar DeRozan. Well, guess what? I'm glad he's here. The Bulls, they still need to tighten up on defense, and they're still figuring it out. I don't really want to. You can't have stretches like that. You can't have players just go on. And I mean, it's going to happen. Every team goes through it. But, it just seemed like the Bulls weren't going to be able to stop the bleeding. Now, luckily they were, right? I guess that's at the end of the day, they were able to turn it around, but you can't, those stretches of the Bulls not being able to defend well, especially against the longer, more athletic teams that are able to play in that passing lanes the same way we do. But then on top of that, the Bulls go through those scoring droughts where they can't just seem to buy a bucket, are going to be tough to watch. And it's going to be some ugly basketball. And there's going to be times where it seems like we're out of it. But with the talent on this team, it seems like we're going to be able to possibly fight our way back in every single situation. Even in the Bulls' one loss, look at what we did. The Bulls have shown the heart and determination of this team. And for that, just thankful at the start of this season. Let me know what you guys thought down below of this game. Were you guys as nervous? You guys get as frustrated as me in this game? I love to hear your frustration stories as well. But go ahead, drop a like, subscribe, all that good stuff. Like I like to end every video on. Go Bulls. I love you guys. Peace.
This has been a presentation of the Break Media.